You're not ungrateful. You're awake. This is the Dignity Room, a place that's always yours. Come in.
You have a decision to make, a real one or a small one. It almost doesn't matter which. And before you've let yourself land on anything, you're already reaching for your phone. And maybe you text your sister, a family member, you ask the group chat, you bring it up with a colleague, you read the reviews, all of them. You find a forum where strangers discuss the exact same thing. You ask one friend, and then because she said something you didn't quite want to hear, you ask another friend who might say something different. And somewhere in the middle of all that consulting, a quite slightly unsettling fact is sitting there waiting for you to notice it. You already knew. You knew before you picked up the damn phone. So, all of this, the texting, the asking, the reviews, it was never really about finding the answer. You had the answer. It was about something else, something we don't usually admit to. And today, let's admit to it. Last episode was about catching your first answer, so that first quiet pull before the reasons flowed in. This episode is about what you do instead of trusting it, because catching your first answer is only half the battle. The other half is resisting the urge to immediately go and check it against everyone you know. So let me draw a line that I think will be useful all week. There are two completely different reasons to ask someone for their take on something. The first is input. You genuinely don't have enough information and someone else knows something you don't. So that's wise. Ask away. Input makes you wiser. Okay. The second is permission. You already know what you want, but you are afraid to own it. So you go collecting other people's argument until you feel allowed to do the thing you already decided. That's not gathering information. That's gathering courage you think you don't have. And here is the uncomfortable part. Most of your asking, the spiral we just described, is the second kind. It looks like research. It feels responsible, but you are not actually undecided. You are just unwilling to be the only one holding the choice. Today is about why that happens and how to stop that. So let's look at what you're actually getting when you ask everyone, because it's not information. We established that you usually already know. What you're really buying is two things. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. The first thing you are buying is shared responsibility. If you decide alone and it goes wrong, it's entirely on you. But if you ask 6 people first and they all agreed and it still goes wrong, well, then it's not just your fault, is it? You did your due diligence. Everyone signed off. You are spreading the risk of being wrong across as many people as possible, so that if it fails, you won't have to carry the full weight of having chosen badly. And I understand exactly why you do that, because somewhere along the way, you learned that being wrong, visibly wrong, wrong about something you choose was dangerous. Maybe it cost you. Maybe you got blamed for things. So now, before your decision, some part of you quietly builds a committee. So there's no single name on the failure. The second thing you're buying is relief from the discomfort of uncertainty. Holding an unmade decision feels awful. There's a tension to it, an open loop. And asking people discharges that tension temporarily. Every opinion you collect gives you a little hit of, okay, I'm doing something about this. It feels like progress. But it isn't progress. It's the opposite. Because every time you reach out to relieve the discomfort, you teach yourself that you can't tolerate it on your own. The asking soothes the tension and deepens the dependence in the same motion. So, the polling does two things for you. Spreads the blames, soothes the discomfort, and neither of them has anything to do with making a better decision. They are both about not having to stand alone in the choice. And the more you do it, the less able you feel to ever stand alone at all. Now, here's the part that I think will actually set you free from the spiral, because so far I've told you this, the asking is about blame and comfort. But there's a deeper problem with it, a problem that exists when the people you ask are wise and well-meaning and genuinely trying to help. Their answers can't actually help you. Not really, and here's why. When your sister tells you what she would do, she's telling you what she would do. So her advice is calibrated to her life, her fears, her values, her tolerance for risk, the things that would keep her up at night. When the group chat wakes in, you're getting a dozen different lives projected onto your decisions, none of them yours. They can't feel what you feel about the choice. They don't have to wake up inside it tomorrow morning. They get to give their opinion and then go back to their own lives. You are the one who has to live in the consequence. And that means you and only you have the one piece of information that actually matters most. What it feels like to be you standing in front of this. So when you outsource the decision to people whose lives aren't yours, you're not getting a better answer. You are getting an answer to a different question, the question of what they would do. And then you are trying to wear it like a coat that was tailored for someone else, and wondering why it never quite fits. And here's the quiet cost that builds up over years. Every single time you ask everyone but yourself, you send yourself a message, not in words, but the message lands anyway. My read doesn't count. I need a real authority here, and that's never me. So do that for long enough and you stop being able to hear your own read at all. Not because it's gone, we know it's not gone, but because you've spent decades treating it as the one opinion not worth consulting. The instrument that's actually turned to your life is the one you've been refusing to ask. Everyone else is guessing about your life from the outside. You are the only one standing on the inside of it. So, what do you do with this? I'm not going to tell you to never ask anyone anything again. That's not realistic and it's not even wise, because input is genuinely valuable. Other people's perspectives can make you wiser. The problem was never asking. The problem was asking instead of yourself and asking before yourself. So here's the small experiment, what I invite you to try. You are going to change the order. The next time you feel the pull to poll everyone, that itch to reach for your phone before you decided anything, I want you to do one thing first. Before you ask a single other person, ask yourself out loud, if you can, or write down whatever you prefer, one question. If no one else had an opinion, if I had to decide this entirely on my own, what would I choose? And answer it. Actually answer it. Let yourself land somewhere, even tentatively. I think I would choose this. Then, and only then, you are allowed to ask other people if you still want to. But notice the difference. Now you are not asking for permission. You are asking for input on a decision you've already privately made. You have your own answer in hand, and you are holding it up against theirs. That's a completely different posture. You are the one deciding what to do with their input instead of handing them the decision and hoping they will hand it back finished. And here's what you will often discover. Once you've named your own answer first, you need the others far less than you thought. Sometimes you will ask one person instead of 6, or you won't ask anyone at all because hearing your own answer out loud was enough. The compulsion was never really about needing them. It was about not having checked with yourself first. And hey, you spent years asking everyone but yourself. This week, let's say, you ask yourself. So you just move yourself to the front of the line. Not the only voice, but the first one. The one who gets consulted before all the others. Because you are the one who has to live there. So, if 3 things stay with you today. 1, most of your asking isn't research, it's permission. You usually already know. The polling buys you 2 things: shared blame if it goes wrong, and relief from the discomfort of an unmade decision. Neither makes the decision better. Both make you feel less able to stand alone in it. 2, their answers can't fit your life. Everyone you ask is telling you what they would do, calibrated to their fears and their values and their risk. You are the only one who has to wake up inside the choice. The one read that's actually turned to your life is the one you keep refusing to consult. And 3, you don't have to stop asking. You have to change the order. Before you poll anyone, ask yourself one question. If no one else had an opinion, what would I choose? Answer it first. Then ask others if you still want to. As input on a decision you are already made, not as permission to make one.
If today resonated, here's the most honest place to go next. Something I recorded just for you. No fluff, just the first real step back to yourself. It's waiting in the show notes. Take care of yourself. This was the Dignity Room.